Your music is the perfect example of vocal music that does not have to have a lot of words to enjoy. The album gives out such a meaningful music experience without it being spelled out to you lyrically. How do
Thank
you choose between how much or less words you want to sing out in a song?
It's a good thank you first. That's very, very sweet of you. I really appreciate that. Um, it's again just a feeling. It's the way that I used to write a lot of songs was that I would either start with a melody that felt like something important, or I would have a lyric that felt like something important, and I would build out from there. And for this project, because a lot of it was so in the moment, and because it was so much of a kind of freer way of doing things, I would have a spark of something, and I wouldn't be forcing myself to like spell it out in that way, kind of.
Right.
So as long as the feeling was captured by either the chord progression or the melody or whatever lyric it was, then I was happy.
Wonderful. And I know you can do it. It's not like I think at all that you can't go for a song with a lot of lyrics. Right? I see you do it on your Instagram, when you perform and stuff, but it just works, like, and it makes me feel like as I'm listening to the song, like I'll listen to a whole song from you, and at the end of the song, I'm like, she probably might have said like 3 words. A lot more than that, right?
Totally, totally.
I think that's speaks to the feeling that you talk about, right? Like it's
Mhm.
translating in that way. Greetings, greetings. Welcome again to another brand new episode of Out the Box Talks. This is episode 104 of season 4. I'm so excited to be back for another show. I want to give special thanks to all of the folks that have been checking out the new shows so far. I'm so excited for the guests that I have on the show today. This is a special show because for anyone out there that has been following Out the Box, particularly Out the Box TV, I've been doing this for about 13 years. And you know that when it comes to Out the Box, when we started out, especially when you look at the first 5 years of doing interviews, and shout out to my co-host A-Level, we did interviews with hip-hop artists, but we also did interviews with producers as well as vocalists and singers. And I have to say I've gotten a bit away from that in regards to the interviews. I've been focusing a lot on a lot of the independent, creative, and conscious hip hop artists. But if you know what we do Out the Box, we represent and try to showcase talent throughout the board, right? So from MCs to producers to singers, songwriters, and even jazz artists. So today's show is special because it is part of a relaunch, in a way, of me bringing back my interviews with a lot of dope and talented soul and vocalist artists. And the guest I have today is someone I'm really excited to have this conversation with, and kind of be launching this new interview series. But and if you've checked out the website, my newly relaunched outtheboxmedia.com music blog, for the past few months, I've been doing these best of lists at the end of each month where I'm highlighting best soul and, vocalist albums and EPs that come out every month. So yeah, it just makes sense for me to do this. I've never stopped enjoying, sharing music from soul artists, especially new artists out there that people might not know about, So yeah, man, it's just a pleasure to be able to do a show like this. And I'm looking to do this every fourth Friday of the month. So every fourth Friday of the month, look for a new feature with a soul vocalist or songwriter on the platform. Before I actually bring in my guest for today, I do want to shout some things out related to Out the Box. As you know, we have the website, outtheboxmedia.com, where you get, updates on a daily basis to brand new creative conscious hip hop, as well as quality soul and even new jazz music as well. Also, if you have been a fan of the platform and you like what you see with these interviews, we do have a Patreon page where you can get access to exclusive interview clips and interviews that are not available to the general public. So there's at least 40 exclusive interviews on Patreon right now that has never been heard before unless you're a Patreon member. So you can become a supporter by going to the link. I put it on the screen, but it'll also be in the description of this video. If you're listening on the audio podcast, it'll be in the description there as well. Okay. As well, if you would like to donate to the platform, we have our Cash App, hashtag Out the Box Rep, and PayPal, paypal.me/outtheboxmedia. Okay. And last but not least, we have our merch store. So if you like what we do and you want to go the extra mile in supporting us by rocking some of the Out the Box merch, you can get a shirt like this, the Out the Box Media shirt, or the snapback hat for Out the Box TV, as well as some other merch on the store. We have some coffee mugs up there as well, and some other clothing and sweaters and hoodies and stuff like that. So, whichever way you feel you want to support, I appreciate, the angle that you choose. But I just wanted to shout that out. All right. And remember, again, the website, outtheboxmedia.com. All right. So I want to talk about my guest today. She is an artist hailing from the city of Toronto, Canada. And she put out a new album, actually her debut project, on April 8th. I found out about it in February, and I was like I feel it was like the first track I listened to, I was just already intrigued. I was like, you know how you put albums on your calendar? I'm like, okay, April 8th. Okay, I'm looking for that. I'm gonna be waiting for that one. And I was so excited that when it was released to be able to get it on Bandcamp, which it is exclusively on Bandcamp for now. And she also brought a couple singles from that project that was on the digital streaming platforms. In 2020 of December, she put out a song called An Exercise in Now, which is also on Bandcamp. So, she's been doing her thing on the music scene for a little moment now. But this debut project of hers, Edible Flowers, is such a refreshing sound in terms of music, and I really just wanted to bring her on to talk about the project, but also talk about her music experience so far, and just so we can get a glimpse of her journey and what she went through to put together this awesome album. So without further ado, I want to welcome to our Out the Box Talks listening and viewing audience my sister, hailing from Toronto, Canada, the songstress, the vocalist, the talent, the awesomeness herself. Welcome to Out the Box Talks, Kyla Charter.
Whoa. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
It is such a pleasure having you. How are you? How's things going on in your world in Toronto at this stage?
Things are good. Things are good. I mean, COVID is always among us, but all things considered, it's sunny outside. The snow is gone for now. It's good.
Awesome. Yes. I know I gave a long-winded intro, but you were deserving of it because it was a special show as well. And just like I said, the album definitely resonated with me in a very wonderful way. So yeah, big ups to you. So I want to talk about this project, but before we even jump into Edible Flowers, let's talk a little bit about your history as an artist. Like where did your inspiration to sing all begin?
My inspirations, I mean, my family is so musical. My grandfather was a guitar player. He grew up in Guyana, and my grandparents met in England, and then they came to Canada. And all of my mom and my aunties all sing, and so whenever we would get together, and even still, it was always 4-part harmonies, singing at every, Christmas, New Year's, anytime we ever got together. So it's always been around for me.
Wow, so it's a family thing.
Hmm.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Did your experience and you know journey with singing have any background in church or any like formal vocal singing as well outside of just being around family?
Yeah, I mean, church was not. I mean, we would go to church with my grandma on
Mm.
like special occasions, but it was mostly just the family singing. Like truly, like probably once every 2 months, we would get together and sing like the songbook of the family. Um, but no, I didn't have any formal training until I went to Humber College, which is like Canada's version of Berkeley, kind of, for the jazz and contemporary music program.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, and then the rest is history, I guess.
How much of that experience going to college would you say has helped to develop your talents to what it is today?
Oh, so much of it. So much of it. It was hugely important. I had no idea. I didn't even really know what a scale was, what extensions were on a chord. I
Mm.
had like very little understanding of the history of the people who would come before me. So it was huge. And meeting people in a place like that where there's so much talent and so much music, it was indispensable. Like there's obviously problems with it as well, but
Right, right. Wow. How long in terms of the duration of time did it take for you to get to that place?
that place being going to music school.
No, no, no. Developing your vocal
Oh,
where it is now. Like,
that's it. I mean, I'm always learning. I'm always growing. So I feel like there is no kind of pinnacle of things.
sure.
I'm inspired by people all the time who can do things that I could not even imagine doing, and I'm like, that's so incredible. So I'm always striving to be better.
Awesome, awesome. So the album is entitled Edible Flowers.
Mhm.
And obviously when you look at the cover, you see the flowers, right? You see, there's flowers. Even you wear sometimes I see you wear the flower crown, which
Mhm.
we'll talk about as well in a little bit. But talk to me about the album name, Edible Flowers. What was the significance with the title, and why'd you choose to title that for the debut project?
That's a really good question. I think that it stemmed from a few things. I have a deep, like, intrinsic love of plants and flowers and greenery.
Mhm.
These are two of like literally 35 plants in this room right now. Um, I just have always been called to nature in the way that I'm also called to music. And I think that the idea of edible flowers being like small kind of vignettes that you can like take into yourself and really like be in and amongst you,
Mm.
was kind of what I was hoping for people to get from the music. So edible flowers felt like the right an apt title.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah. When I'm listening to the music, I can't say that I got that right off the bat, but it's
Mm.
interesting that like you'll make me now go back and listen to it with that thought in mind, right?
Mm.
Right. So talk to me about the cover art on the album. What's going on as far as the depiction? Like, what did you want to convey with that?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I've been in the music game for like a long time now.
Right.
Doing backups and playing guitar for people. I've kind of been in the industry and around people who have been very successful at it. And I've always been aware of like being a woman and how women are portrayed and is expected of us. And I wanted the music to stand apart from me as I am in my body and, being sexualized, not having anything to do with it, being like, you know, my politics having very little to do with it. I wanted it to stand on its own. And I asked this incredible painter to listen to the album and come up with something that they felt was appropriate. And that was that.
Wow. Now, is the person on the cover, is that you? Is that the depiction of you?
Mm-hmm.
It made sense. It made sense. Because there's an image, I think it's on your Bandcamp, where I actually see you performing and you have the flowers on your head. And I was like,
Totally.
it has to be Kyla. But I
Mm-hmm.
always want to ask, it's always dope when you can talk to an artist and translate an idea and it works out,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's talk about the flower crown that you wear sometimes. I know you sometimes wear it when you perform. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what does that crown symbolize for you?
It serves as a reminder for me of to like ground myself and like the plants and being actually rooted in a place. I often perform without shoes on for the same reason. I think that it's so easy in this industry to be sidetracked by so many different things, and having a sense of grounding and having like a reason to really check in with yourself and be like, what am I doing here? What is my actual purpose and what am I trying to convey? Yeah, it's kind of like a very heavy reminder.
Interesting. A grounding. Talk to me about what made you choose to perform without shoes and just the whole aesthetic, right? Like where did that inspiration come from?
I mean, I'm definitely not the first to do it. Tons of incredible artists that I know go shoeless. It's literally like when you're on an elevated platform of any kind,
Mhm.
being able to feel the floor under you, for me at least, and I'm sure for a lot of people, is like very important, because it's just such a surreal experience to be like faced with thousands of people or hundreds of people or even any people, So it's like a
Indeed.
little token for yourself to be like, this is where I am. This is what I'm here to do.
Yeah. That's so in the moment and so centered. I could definitely dig that.
Mm,
Now, how many, because correct me if I'm wrong, this is your first project, right?
totally. Yeah.
So how many years did it take for you to get to this place? Because I'm assuming you've performed a lot and you've been, like you said, you've been in music for a while.
Yeah.
Like, talk to me about the journey to get to April 8th, 2022.
Whew. Oh my God. It's been a long time coming. It's been a very long time coming. I was just so scared. I've been scared for years to put out my own project. I was scared of criticism. I was scared of, people not getting it, people getting it or thinking they get it for weird reasons. I had like it was a control issue, I think. It's like I wanted to be in control of how it was perceived and received. And I just got to the point, pandemic hit, and I was like, I need to just put out something. Like I've been called to be a musician my whole life, and to kind of be afraid to the point where I was like, hiding my stuff away from myself. It just wasn't okay anymore. So I did it.
Yes, you did. I'm so glad you did.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, no problem. So it just makes me think, were there any other projects that you had started and scrapped, or like are there like unreleased stuff that we haven't heard yet?
Totally, totally.
Awesome, awesome. So that
Tons of
makes me
unreleased
excited.
stuff.
I don't know if it'll ever come out, but like with
Maybe
this
one day.
project. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say maybe one day. Who knows? Who knows?
Got it, got it. But it's in the vault. Awesome, awesome. So a variety of your songs have this sense of vocalizing or slow scatting and humming happening with the background vocals, which I absolutely love and I think makes your music so compelling.
Thank
Can
you.
you tell me what led you to approach your singing in that way?
That's a great question. I think that because I had done so many iterations of trying to make an album of some sort, I really went into this with a spirit of experimentation.
Mm,
Um, I was just really interested in capturing a feeling as opposed to sticking to like a traditional song structure. And I
mm,
in school, like I, have taken classes on songwriting, and I'm like very uh, well versed in how to create a traditional song structure in a lot of styles. But I really wanted to strip away the layers of that and get to the core of what it was I was trying to say.
mm.
And and yeah, so I just kind of, a lot of those are a single take, and whatever came out, and then I built layers around the original take.
Got it. You said you were trying to get to the core of what you wanted to say. Like, talk to me a little bit more about that. What was the core? What was the underlying message?
I mean, it's different for each song. I feel like each is a different kind of either idea or theme. Generally, for those who haven't heard it, each song is centered around a single line or a theme, and it's like an exploration of that theme. And it was 2020, and I couldn't concentrate on a lot at all. I was so like anxious and filled with fear for
Mm,
many different reasons. And uh, yeah, I was trying to really check in with myself in a way that I hadn't given myself space to before in my life. I had been on the road and just saying yes to stuff in a way that made it easy to not engage with what was actually going on for myself.
mm.
And with the time and space, I was like, okay, Kyla, what are you doing? What do you want to do with your life? What is it that is important to you? What are you still holding on to that you need to let go of? All of it came up, and I put them in these songs.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, we'll talk about the themes of some of these songs in a little bit. But I want to talk about the production team that
Yes,
contributed to this album, Safe Spaceship.
yes,
And I just found out, I just like, you put me onto them because
amazing.
there's another artist that just, I'm escaping my name, but they've done production for other artists as well. But tell
Mhm.
me about how you and this team of awesome producers came together to collaborate on this project.
Totally. Well, they're incredible. It's Scott McCannell, Chino Davila, and Ben McDonald. And they were all in a band called Yuka, which is like a funk band from Toronto that is since disbanded. But they also went to Humber, and so we were kind of in similar kind of groups of friends. And I'd known Chino for a while. I'd known Ben for a while. I hadn't met Scott until like 2019, but I had a show at the Paradise Theater, and Chino was playing for me. And after the show, he was like, listen, me and a couple friends are doing some production stuff. I think that like, it would give you space to try some stuff out if you want to come through and see what happens. Like, you're totally welcome to. And I was like, yes, please. So I went over and we just jammed, and we kept jamming. And yeah, they turned into songs.
Dope, dope. Yeah, I saw that. I think they did production on Tanika Charles's new album as well
Yes,
too. Yeah,
yes, yes. And an artist called Afros who is amazing. Also Claire Davis. They
yeah.
do all of her stuff. It's really beautiful.
Listen, thank you for putting me on to them because their production is awesome.
It's so cool. It's so
So
cool.
cool. Can you explain? Like I know you just mentioned the members. It's like three main members.
Mhm.
Um, can you tell me like what their specific instrument contribute contributions were on this project?
For sure. It's interesting because basically what happened for a lot of the songs is that I was renting studio space, like there was like a park in Toronto, and I was on one side of the park in a studio, and their studio was on the other side of the park.
Mm,
So once a week I was going to the studio I was in and like coming up with ideas, guitar lines, or just vocal stuff. And then I would bring it to the guys on the other side of the park, and we would like turn it into a thing. And so Scott plays bass
mm,
and a little bit of guitar. Ben plays the keys and synth. Chino is an extraordinary drummer and does percussion. They also like all move around
Mm.
within the space as well. So they're on everything.
I think the bass is just like the most. Maybe it's just the instrument that I'm mostly drawn to, but like anytime I hear like that bass, the bass guitar on in vocal music, man, like
Mm.
it's so cool to hear. And I think that's one of the things that made this project stand out to me. Like there's so much like R&B and soul music that's out there, and like a lot of it after a certain amount of time, and it's like that with hip hop too, like you just hear the same thing. Like you can't
Mm.
really, it's not, it's so, like you when something is refreshing, you're like, oh wow, that sounds different, even though it's rooted in a sound that you might have heard
Of
before,
course, yeah.
but it sounds different and it just sounds good. Like, and that's what I got from this project. So so shout out to Safe Spaceship, and also shout out to you, because as I understand, you also contributed guitar, production, and mixing on this album. Uh,
Totally.
what tracks do we hear the guitar from you on, and what was that producer experience like for you overall, collaborating with Safe Spaceship?
Yeah, I mean, in music school, one of your final projects is like to produce somebody else's project and also to have your own. And
Mm.
so I have had some experience with producing, and I know what I want in a lot of ways. And so it felt very natural to be in
Mhm.
there kind of like giving ideas and like bouncing things off the walls. But they are incredible. They are such an incredible team to work with because it truly is like a safe spaceship. Like all ideas are welcome. You can try stuff out and not feel judged. And it gets weird sometimes, and that's super cool. Like some of the tracks in the album are odd. I completely like. I will admit to that wholeheartedly. And yeah, it's fun. It's been really fun to work with them. But yeah, I played guitar on Back to the Future. I used to play when I played shows live. I played mainly guitar or all of my songs on guitar. And through the process of this album, I have like moved over to my loop pedal, which is what I work on now.
Awesome. How hands-on were you in the sequencing or the finalizing of this complete sound of this project?
Um, pretty hands on. Pretty
Were,
hands on. Scott
were you
McCann.
the one that was like kind of like, okay, we got to go back and change this, or like last minute, like was it?
Some of it's really interesting because Chino was like obsessive with the drums. He
Mm,
would go in for hours tweaking and changing things, and it was like I am so grateful for all the work he put into that. And Scott is like very meticulous about frequencies and like getting good sounds, and that was incredible. I was like very particular about vocals and the level of certain things and like the same like frequency spectrum to highlight things or like take things away and create a mood. So it was definitely like a fully realized group effort.
dope, dope, dope. What what was the order and how the instruments were recorded for this album, including like your main vocals as well as your background vocals? Like, how did that order come about?
We A lot of it was jammed out in the room in
Mm,
their studio space. So it would be like I come up with or like we would drums would be going, bass would be going. I'd have like a 4-bar idea, and
mm,
they jam it out till something like really clicked and there was a spark. Um,
mm,
and then generally it would be like, I don't know, I would lay down a vocal loop. So for Doubts, if I'm remembering correctly, it's the ooh, ooh, ooh. That line was put in like over and over and over as a loop. And then we added layers, and there was like we would put in, that's what happened, we put in I think like just like a general click, very generic drum track. Then I would do a vocal performance, and then Chino would come in and like play to what I sang and like respond to the things that were in there and like have his own performance to it as well. And
that's
yeah, and then
awesome.
Ben would add a whole bunch of beautiful layers, and yeah, it was very cool and collaborative.
Wow. So it seems like it was a lot of the magic was created on the fly, like just kind of paying attention to the moment and adjusting and really kind of
Absolutely.
going with the flavor. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I was actually gonna ask you that, like, you know, how do you know? And this is not just with this project, but just in general. Like, how do you know when you hit that mark or get to that point
Mm.
where you say, "That's it. That's what I was looking for to give this song its completeness. Satisfied now." Like, how do you get to that point? Like, how do you know when you hit that point?
It's a feeling for me, at least. It's a gut feeling, and that's always what I'm chasing.
Mm,
Uh, it's so it's so cool. It feels like very almost like otherworldly sometimes to have things just click into place from an idea that came from nowhere, you know? Um, so yeah, it's just a feeling.
makes sense. I mean, I think
Mhm.
it translates in that way as the listener too, right? We
I'm
get
so
we
glad.
get the feeling. Yeah.
Okay.
Your music is the perfect example of vocal music that does not have to have a lot of words to enjoy. The album gives out such a meaningful music experience without it being spelled out to you lyrically. How do
Thank
you choose between how much or less words you want to sing out in a song?
It's a good thank you first. That's very, very sweet of you. I really appreciate that. Um, it's again just a feeling. It's the way that I used to write a lot of songs was that I would either start with a melody that felt like something important, or I would have a lyric that felt like something important, and I would build out from there. And for this project, because a lot of it was so in the moment, and because it was so much of a kind of freer way of doing things, I would have a spark of something, and I wouldn't be forcing myself to like spell it out in that way, kind of.
Right.
So as long as the feeling was captured by either the chord progression or the melody or whatever lyric it was, then I was happy.
Wonderful. And I know you can do it. It's not like I think at all that you can't go for a song with a lot of lyrics, right? Like, I see you do it on your Instagram, when you perform and stuff, but it just works, like, and it makes me feel like as I'm listening to the song, like I'll listen to a whole song from you, and at the end of the song, I'm like, she probably might have said like 3 words. A lot more than that, right? But
Totally, totally.
I think that's speaks to the feeling that you talk about, right? Like it's
Mhm.
translating in that way. Um, so let's talk about the song titles. And we can go into them a little bit more in detail, but just talk to me about how you came up with these titles. Like, walk me through the
Mm.
process of naming the songs.
For sure. Generally, it's whatever the most important aspect of the song is. I'll make the title.
Mhm.
Doubts, obviously, got my doubts about you was a line, and that's the seed of the idea.
Right.
Um, Hey Mama was a song about my mom, and it was about getting her attention and also getting my own attention in a specific space. And so that's why I named that one. Back
Mhm.
to the Future was actually that was a working title. That was a Chino working title that he put into the session, and it kind of just stuck. It just felt like the right thing. That was a song that was kind of the base idea that Scott and Chino had come up with was based off of kind of like a Johann Sebastian Bach cello suite idea. He does a lot of like eighth note lines and really beautiful melodic things, and that's kind of like the basis of that song. So it felt like the right thing to keep his name in there. Um,
Nice.
yeah, what else is in there? Breaking dishes.
Oh yeah. I want to talk to you about that. So
Yeah.
hold that thought. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Let's jump in. But that was a great response. I just wanted a general idea of like how you arrived at naming the songs.
Cool.
So the project finishes with 7 tracks, right? How did you come to 7 tracks? Like, was there more music you had to narrow to, or was that just like what you set out for?
There were a couple of songs that didn't make it.
Okay.
Um, those were the strongest songs. It felt like they were cohesive, but also stood out on their own. And so, yeah, it just ended up. I think it was originally supposed to be an EP of like 4 songs or so, but we just kept cranking them out, so it became 7.
Nice, nice. What was the most difficult track for you to record?
Oh, that's a very good question. A couple of them are quite hard.
Okay, it can be more than one.
Okay. Quinn was hard. Quinn was quite hard. It's a song I wrote about my sister. You can hear me crying on the track. It's a very vulnerable moment, but it needed to happen. And that was, I think that that was the last vocals that were cut for the album, because we had like come up with the bed track, the records that I had for a while for a different song, and like we totally reimagined them, but I just couldn't figure out what it was I wanted to say. And one day we were in the studio and Scott was like, here's a mic, I'm gonna go for a walk, you be by yourself, and whatever like comes out. And that's what came out. So Quinn was hard. Another Name was also quite hard.
Yeah, I can tell in terms of some of the subject matter that I'm getting.
Yeah.
And it's a project that I don't think you're gonna get on first listen or even first few listens, right? In terms of the subject matter, which is kind of why I wanted to talk to you too, because I wanted you to kind of like talk a little bit more about it. Now, if you're comfortable, can you talk a little bit about, why that Quinn track was so special? I mean, other than it just being your sister, what's the emotion related to your sister with that?
Totally. My sister is my best friend. I love her to the moon and back. We are 2 of 6 children. My dad got remarried. There's a whole bunch of kids around. But she has always been my rock. And about 10 years ago, there was some health stuff and we almost lost her. And I started writing a couple of lyrics then. And then once everything was cleared, I kind of couldn't go back to it. It was too painful. It was kind of like an open wound that I didn't have to deal with at all. But in 2020, we were living together, and because of some pandemic stuff and, the world changing and us changing as humans, I moved into my own apartment, and it kind of brought up a whole bunch of stuff from that time. And the idea of losing someone, what it means to say goodbye, and the beauty that can come from it, to make space for, new versions of ourselves. And so it felt like I was kind of grieving our like younger selves in order to really embrace like the people we are now. So.
And has your sister, I'm pretty sure she's heard the song. Like, what
Yes, yeah.
did she have to say about it? Did she receive it the way you would have liked her to receive it?
She is a funny lady. I think she got it, but she was like, okay, Kyla.
That sounds like a sister thing to say. Awesome. So the first track, Doubt, is undoubtedly one of my favorite tracks on the album. It's the first song I heard, and you sing on the song repeatedly, I got my doubts about you. And it just sounds so good as you say it over there. I was like, you guys might be thinking like, who do I have doubts about? Like
Woo!
as you singing it, but yeah. So can you talk to me about what inspired the main lyrics in that song? And then if you don't mind sharing a little bit about the scenario that, like, you don't have to tell me the person that you had doubts about, but like, I'm just curious to know like what inspired those lyrics.
Yeah, totally. I mean, to be perfectly honest, like the seed of it kind of started about a person, but it actually, by the time I recorded it, it was about myself.
Mm,
Um, in all the ways that I was self-sabotaging and talking to like the little voice inside of me that was like, you're not good enough. Why are you making an album? You don't need to be doing this. And being like, I have my doubts about you, little voice. Like, no, no more of this. So it was really like, it felt kind of like exercising like out that voice and being like, you're no longer welcome here. So
wow, that's deep. Now, that because I would have never thought it was you talking to yourself, which it makes it even more special now because the way you sing on it, it's like it comes across like you
mm.
talking about a person. Like it's like I got my doubts about you.
Totally, totally.
That's deep. So it's like you're really confronting yourself. So it's like
Yes,
bringing out the best in yourself in a way is what I'm getting. So that's
totally.
dope. Wow.
Trying to.
Wow. So you spoke about this song earlier, and I have to say this is probably my favorite song on the album, Hey Mama.
I'm
This
so
is
glad.
hands down like my favorite. I mean it. Yeah, I think this will be it. I don't think there's another record that like all the tracks are dope, but like this is the one that hits. The
Mm.
emotion on the song translates extremely strongly music wise. How would you describe the experience recording this record along with the emotion that came with it?
It was um it was heavy and it was beautiful. This was also actually a song that the idea started like years and years ago. Um because I was mad at my mama and um it was kind of me processing what that meant now for myself. And like I love my mom. I talk to her all the time. It's like there's nothing but love there. But I think that um, I was exploring the idea that the things that I am dealing with in myself are a reflection of who she is.
Mm,
And for better and for worse. I think that's what the seed of the song really was, and that one cannot exist without the other. And uh, yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to explore with it.
deep, deep. Can you clarify what you're actually saying in the lyrics? Because I feel like I hear exactly what you're saying, but I just want to make sure. Like you say, it sounds like you're saying I'm not perfect. I get that from you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
totally,
Break that down for me.
for sure. I mean, at the time when I wrote that lyric way back in like I don't know 2014 probably,
Mhm.
I was upset because I had been going through like some not great relationships and realizing the patterns of the things that I was coming up against and how it had to do with like issues that I hadn't worked out with my mom because of the
Mhm.
person that she is. And I was like, my imperfections come from the person that you are. But now it really also is the flip side of that coin. It's the fact that my favorite parts of myself are the things that I got from her. And they're
Mhm.
still my imperfections. Like I am an imperfect person, but the best parts of me also come from her. So,
That's dope. Like
mhm, mhm.
that. If you had to go with two things, what would you say are the two best things you've learned from observing and interacting with your mom?
Ooh, ooh, those are fantastic questions. The two best things I've learned from observing and interacting with my mom. I think I think that one of the things that I've learned is how strong she is in a way that I was never really aware of as a kid.
Mm.
The things that she had to face that she just really truly kept out of like our purview. Um, she was like dealing with a lot, and she did a phenomenal job, uh, with what she had to work with, and I'm so grateful for that. And so that's definitely a lesson that I've learned. Um, I think from observing her, that like, for better or for worse, no matter how I interpret the things that have gone on in my life, all that she's ever tried to do is her best for me and my sister. So, you know?
Deep, deep. I like it. So I was gonna ask you about Back to the Future, but you already explained that.
Mm.
Talk to me about the fourth track, Breaking Dishes, because that's another track that doesn't have a lot of lyrics, but I feel like there's something going on, even with the little lyrics that I hear. Talk to me about the
Yeah.
subject matter.
Okay. Well, Breaking Dishes, it was an experimentation in the true sense. We had it was like a track that the guys had done totally on their own that they sent to me. And we're like, do you want to do something with this? And I was like, this is amazing. Of course I do. So I went to that little studio that I had been renting, and I smoked a little bit, and Breaking Dishes kind of just came out in kind of a way that you hear a lot of people talk about. I don't know, the famous story of like the Beatles having the Yellow Submarine being like the in place line that they were gonna, replace with something else, but never did.
Mm,
It was very much that. It was supposed to be kind of a placeholder for something else that I would go in and like change and do again.
okay.
But I played it for the guys, and they were like, "This is amazing. You should just keep it." So it ended up on the album.
How'd you come up with the words breaking dishes though?
I think I like ordered takeout and something fell on the floor, and I was like, she's out here breaking dishes.
But what's so interesting is how does it go from that moment of takeout to now in the studio?
I know. It's such a weird song. And part of me was like, I can't believe I put that into the world. But it was important to have a balance of like really heavy stuff like Hey Mama and like Quinn and, another name balanced with some fun and like Shawn Mendes.
I could dig it. I could dig it. You're amazing at vocalizing and singing in complement to background vocals.
Thank
How
you.
did you become so good at that?
um, Years of practice. Really being, do you know what? I think the thing that is the most important is being a good listener.
Mm,
I think that in order to be a good singer and a good support and like harmonizing individual, you have to be able to listen to other people and adjust. It's a balance. It's like a dance that you do.
that's interesting. Listening. I like
Mhm.
that. Yeah. Um, I mean, this is probably obvious, but I just wanted to ask for clarity. Like, pretty much all of the background vocals that we hear are yours, right? On the album, right?
Every single one, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's dope. So the track the after party sounds very reminiscent of a classic D'Angelo record. I don't know, for whatever reason I hear D'Angelo. I hear D'Angelo on that track. But I'm curious to know like who are some of your like biggest singer inspirations?
Absolutely. I have since the time I was, I think, 9 years old, my trifecta has been Lauryn Hill, Erykah Badu, and D'Angelo. That's like, those are just the holy trinity for me. So I'm so flattered that you that you got D'Angelo from that.
Yeah, and I I kind of just go with what I hear, and I just like that's the first thing I heard. But definitely, I hear the Soul Aquarian, the neo soul that I can hear that sound, and maybe that's what I'm drawn to. And I don't hear a lot of music like that nowadays. Like Bilal is like my favorite male vocalist.
Amazing.
Um,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah. So and of course, Erica and D'Angelo. Yeah. So wow, that's dope. That's dope. So that's good to know the trio. So you said Erica, D'Angelo, and Lauryn Hill. Awesome.
100%. Bilal is amazing though.
Yeah,
He did a Tiny Desk. He like was featured on one that Questlove and the Roots did.
right.
It Ain't Fair.
Yeah,
Every time I watch that, I cry. It is so beautiful.
yeah. I mean, have you got a chance? You've seen him perform live, right? Have you?
Not in person, no.
Oh my goodness. I actually interviewed him on Out the Box years ago.
Amazing.
I think I interviewed him twice. And the first time I interviewed him, it was actually at a CMJ show here. This was like, CMJ, they used to do that. I don't think they do it as much before, but like it's when all the it's like a college week for like college radio and promotion.
Mm.
A lot of the independent labels were involved in that. And I mean, yeah, man, when you see Bilal perform live, it's an experience. Like he just loses it. Like he just
Totally.
really goes in, man. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, so it's awesome, awesome. Dope,
it's
dope, dope.
incredible.
So the track, Another Name, the final track on the project. It's long. It's a pretty long track, but talk to me about the message that you wanted to convey with that song, because I feel like there's some heavy stuff happening in the song and some deep, meaning there.
Absolutely. It was in the late summer of 2020. And I was, deep in the Instagram of it all.
Mm.
And the protests were happening and it was all happening. But I felt like, I don't know, I felt like a twinge of something is like not right in terms of the way that people are engaging with this stuff.
Mm.
And it was so heavy and painful. When I say people, I specifically mean white people trying to do their best. And I just had to sit down and, I don't know, I want to say like lament the fact that this is not new for
Mm.
us.
Mm.
And there's no point in acting like it's new. And if we engage in the way that we have been engaging, like, society has been engaging, then nothing is going to change.
Mm.
Like it takes more than posting. It takes more than, showing up for one day of a summer, It's like this is deep and true work, and there's so much pain and so much history. And yeah, if we do not change, we are doomed to repeat ourselves, was kind
Mm.
of the message.
Yeah, I could definitely hear like the depth of the record, man. So going back to that last track, Another Name, it finishes at 7:20 in length. Clearly, again, the longest song on the album, but it ends pretty abruptly at the 7:20 mark. Was that something that was intentional or not? Like, why did it end up that way?
Um, well, for a couple of reasons. One is that I had that song was not a song that I was considering putting on the album at all. It was just something that I needed to get out of myself.
Mm.
And I happened to record it. It's literally like an iPhone recording that
Mm.
has been like mixed and mastered. So there was no clear ending. Part of it was that it felt appropriate in terms of how jarring living life in a Black body can be.
Mm.
It felt kind of allegorical for the pain that comes up really quick. And it just made the most sense. It's like I didn't want a soft kind of like smooth outro. This is not a soft subject. This is like a lot of institutional pain that is being kind of put to the forefront. So,
Wow. Did you know that that was going to be the last track?
no, it took a lot to even know it was going to be on the album. Really, it was
like in terms of the sequencing, like it makes sense that with it one being such a long track and also it cutting off like that, for it to be the final placed, like when I say in terms of the order,
for
not the
sure.
final recorded track, but the order, the final place track.
It did. It feels very much like a period. Like that
Mm.
is this is like the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely was. It felt like the only place for it to be.
Yeah. I'm the music listener in me is appreciative that that track ended up being the longest track, because how it ends so abruptly. I'm like, well, hey, at least it didn't end abruptly in 2 minutes, you know, or in like less than a minute. Like
For sure.
there was at least a build up, like
For
a
sure.
longer time, you know. But I'm glad that you spoke on that, because that's definitely significant and meaningful, and it makes sense the way that you explained it. You know, what would you say has been the most fulfilling thing about recording Edible Flowers?
I think the most fulfilling thing, honestly, is talking to people like you about it. Like being able to, because I have been singing for like a bunch of different artists for a lot of my career. And a lot of them are like indie artists and like rock artists from Canada. Cause you know, those are the types of acts that get a lot of support by, you know, the average Joe, and also like financial support from the government. So that's kind of the world that a lot of people walk through. And I don't think a lot of people from those worlds understood what I was going for.
Mm.
um, so to talk to people who understand where I'm coming from and understand what I was trying to do just feels so vindicating. So I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for your voice and your talent, and being able to put it in recorded form so that, you know, we can enjoy not just for momentarily time, but, you know, for a long time, you know. So Kyla, I just have to say, like, this this album gives me anticipation for what's next. uh
Amazing.
yeah, and I don't mean to put the pressure on you, because I know it took a while to put this out. So if you can give a glimpse of what is coming next musically for you, how do you see yourself following up this project?
I see myself following up this project with more music. I've got a couple of songs that I've written between the time. Like this was written in 2020,
Okay.
and I've written like a handful of songs since then. Uh, and there's more to come. I've got like an idea for a next project that I'm very excited about. So yeah, there's more on the way. There's more on the way.
How soon are we saying? Before the year is up or next year? No pressure. It don't even, like, listen, if it comes out in the next 2 years, I'm good, because this project is so awesome. I let it hold me. So, you know, but you know, I'm just like I said, the music fan in me is only inclined to know, right? I'm interested.
That's so sweet. Definitely in the next year, you will
Okay.
be getting new stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. What about the promotional rollout for Edible Flowers? How do you plan to see that? Are we going to see like more music videos, live performances, tours? What's the
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally open to whatever comes up. I've got a couple of shows coming up in Toronto.
okay?
I don't think there's going to be any more music videos, but who knows? Remains to be seen. You never know what happens. I think Hey Mama is going to be coming out on streaming as well. I wanted to keep a lot of basically the majority of the project on Bandcamp, um, because it is such like a strange record, and I think that for the people who hear the singles on streaming platforms and are interested and want to see the whole project, they can come and find it on Bandcamp.
Right.
But it is literally a look into my mind and my heart. And it's really kind of like I'm interested in sharing that with people who are interested in hearing it. So that's staying there.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful said. I was gonna ask you about that. I was like, even though like I'm gonna say it right now for all the people listening or watching, like, go get this album on Bandcamp because it's worth the purchase, right?
Thank you.
But I was also gonna ask, like, would you eventually release the project on streaming, like the entire project?
That's a good question. Like maybe in the future eventually, but for now, I am like an independent artist. I'm doing this all myself. And in the future, if there is label support, I'm happy to change my mind. But
Right.
now,
Hey, I respect it and I appreciate it. And I'm gonna say it again. I think this album is definitely worthy of the purchase on Bandcamp. Uh, thank you so much again, Kyla. It has been a pleasure chatting with you. I wish you all the best in success musically with this project and all the other dope stuff you got coming out. Definitely keep me, keep connected with me for new music that comes out, because I would love to share it and put people onto it.
thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
So fun.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Before we get out of here, do you want to share with the folks listening where they can keep connected with you, like, your social media, website, of course, Bandcamp?
Yeah, Bandcamp. You can find me all places at Kyla Charter, KylaCharter.com. I'm mostly on Instagram at Kai Charter. That's KYCHARTER. So come and say hi.
Indeed, indeed. And I want to thank all of our listeners and viewers again for rocking with us. Remember, you can catch us at outtheboxmedia.com. That's the website there. You can also go to that website and subscribe for free just to be on our mailing list, so we keep you updated with all things Out the Box, from the Out the Box talk shows to the music reviews we do. I have another channel, Out the Box Media, where I do a lot of album and music reviews there as well. So yeah, I thank all of the viewers and listeners. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. Stay connected with us, and we will catch you on the next episode. Thank you again to my guest, Kyla Charter.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week for another episode. Peace, love, and light. Stay healthy, stay focused, stay safe. We out.